Everyone says cash is king, but here's the uncomfortable truth. Cash quietly loses value every single year. Hi, I'm EP, a layman in finance. Today we're talking about precautionary liquidity, cash versus treasuries. Inflation doesn't send you a bill. It doesn't show up in your bank statement. It just shrinks your purchasing power silently. So the real question isn't, should I hold cash? It's, is there a better place to park cash without being slapped by inflation? Let's be clear what people usually mean by cash in investing. When investors say cash is king, they usually mean there are no good investments right now, so wait. That's actually wise advice. You want liquidity ready when your favorite stock drops 50% tomorrow and everyone else is panicking. Cash gives you optionality, so why did a famous hedge fund manager Ray Dalio or Warren Buffett famously say cash is trash? Because of inflation. Holding cash for too long guarantees a loss in real terms. That's why he prefers assets like gold to hedge inflation, and historically that worked well. If inflation runs at 3 to 5%, holding cash means you're paying a 3 to 5% inflation tax every year, on top of the actual taxes you already pay. It's invisible, but it's very real. Now let's look at what Berkshire Hathaway does. Warren Buffett doesn't let tens of billions sit idle in a checking account. Instead, Berkshire parks its cash in 3-month U.S. Treasury bills. What is that? It's debt issued by the U.S. government that matures in 3 months. 3 months is such a short period that default risk is essentially negligible. That's why 3-month Treasuries are often called risk-free. In fact, for Berkshire, Treasuries are safer than bank deposits because banks don't insure deposits at that scale. This isn't crypto, it's not a moonshot, it's boring 3 to 5%, but it's safe. Historically, buying treasuries was annoying. You had to deal with treasury auctions, match exact maturities, manage reinvestment. Not very user-friendly, but in 2026, that friction is basically gone. For individual investors, the main challenge used to be access. Buying treasury bills directly meant dealing with auctions, managing maturities, rolling them over every few months. That friction kept most people in cash. Today, that problem is mostly solved. There are ETFs that simply hold very short-term U.S. Treasury bills and pass the yield through to investors. One commonly cited example is SGOV, ticker symbol SGOV, but there are others. Conceptually, these funds just bundle 3-month treasuries into a liquid security that trades like a stock. You're not taking equity risk. You're not betting on rates. You're just holding short-term government paper in a more convenient wrapper. There is a small management fee, but in exchange you avoid the operational hassle, and you earn roughly what treasury bills pay instead of earning zero in cash. Cash is not necessarily trash, but storing cash is expensive. If the richest investors in the world refuse to hold idle cash, that's probably not an accident. So what would you hold for safety? Cash? Short-term treasuries? Gold? Bitcoin? Let me know in the comments.